everyone, I'm Val, and I'm going to talk about 40 Winks. 40 Winks was released for the PlayStation in 1999. There's actually a Steam version that was released in 2019, which is a finished version of the N64 port that never came to fruition. But I will today be playing straight from this very disc, which is the same one I had when I was a little boy. I am using an emulator because my PS1 is currently in a box and I can't capture from it even if I could find it. But that does mean that emulation combined with the fact that this disc is really old and scratched means that there's a lot of frame rate issues. I have done my best to find footage that doesn't stutter like an old train, but unfortunately this is the best I can do. But I happened to stream it on my Twitch channel last year because it was the only thing I had to hand at the time, and I discovered that it hasn't held up as well as I thought it would. So I decided that I wanted to take a look at it from a kind of more critical perspective. I mean, really, I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. So with that said, let's do it! This game's plot is explained in two cutscenes. In the first, unnamed female parrot number 1 is putting our protagonist rough and tumble to bed. The kids of course don't want to go to sleep, so good old mum tells them all about the Winks, these magical little cat fairy things that give us good dreams, and needlessly scares them with tales of the evil nightmare creating hoodwinks. And Ruff is so angry about this that he smacks his teddy bear into oblivion. But of course there's no need to worry, the Winks aren't going to go anywhere, they'll be around forever. So naturally, the Winks are kidnapped in the next damn cutscene. The evil nightcap can't sleep, so like every good and self-respecting insomniac, he resents those damn sleepers and wants to stop everyone from sleeping by using nightmares. Also, apparently the hoodwinks work for him or something because they kind of just go out and do what he says, and they live in his house and help him fix Threadbare in later cutscenes. Anyway, so the Winks are gone, and for some reason Ruff and Tumble are the only ones up to the task of actually saving them. So after choosing between Ruff or Tumble when we created a new save file, we wake up in the hub world of our house, and holy heck, Tumble's been raptured. Well, I guess I'm on my own now. Into the playroom for the tutorial. What is that? That, pals, is Wakey Wakey, the Navi of this game. He's an alarm clock with a strange bent clock hand mustache
and completely emotionless face.
So Cogsworth here teaches us the controls, which are pretty standard controls for a platformer collectathon at this point. X to jump, square to smack enemies with a 3-hit combo, circle to scream for a ranged attack, pressing circle in midair lets you do a ground pound, and circle while moving does a slide attack. This game is a collectathon, so we have things to collect. There's the Winks, of course, 4 dream keys per stage to unlock the boss battle. Also, the dream keys are shaped like actual keystones, which is a pretty nice touch. Around 40 cogs per level to find, which unlock these numbered cog doors to progress through that level, and on top of that you have Zs or Zs for health to keep you asleep, moons as fuel for your screams, and if you get 10 of these rough tumble spinny coins you get an extra life. The controls are basic enough, but the main draw of the game is the ability to transform via these little jack-in-the-boxes. At first I thought each of these changes were just cosmetics, but as I played more I realised they all do play a little differently. You have the prehistoric man, who moves just as slowly as you'd expect, but who has the grossest long-range attack. It makes me want to urge as much as he does, it's just ugh. Next we have the ninja, who does jump higher than the kids, and their slide attack is a spinny move, but don't spin too much or you'll get dizzy. The ninja characters can also climb on ropes or pipes, a move introduced in the 3rd dream world without explanation. Even Ruff is confused, look at how worried he is. Then there's the robot suit. This costume lets you use a jetpack, and the spin at the end of your standard combo seems to one-shot most enemies. Also, the robot is one of the few times the characters actually speak while playing, and they say some great things.
Time for Benny Pies!
And lastly, the Jester transformation, or Fairy if you're playing as Tumble. This is definitely my favourite. I love a good Harlequin look, so Ruff's transformation here is great. But I eventually realised that this costume has unlimited air underwater, so your oxygen meter only starts when you transform back into Ruff or Tumble, giving you more time to swim. Each of these transformations is timed, but you can extend that by picking up these little symbols corresponding to the jack-in-the-box. I hope you like slide whistles. Each dream world in the game has a different theme, and after going to Narnia, you end up in the first world, Haunted Hijinks. I really appreciate this first world being all haunted and spooky. I was a pretty morbid kid who liked Invader Zim, Series of Unfortunate Events, and Grisly Tales of Gruesome Kids. So even though I didn't always play very far, I always enjoyed going through this area first. There's a cemetery full of zombies, some woods where you fight Gruntilda, and the first level you come to in the entire game is TikTok Manor, which has such good music. Let me tell you, this is my default haunted house theme and I love it to bits. After collecting 4 dream keys in each level, which come in sets of blue, green and pink, you unlock the boss. Each boss is Nightcap's minion Fredbear with some kind of helper. The Nightmare boss comes with a giant spider, ew, and you have to run away from him until he falls asleep, and then you can smack him. A fairly simple boss really, but all the spiderwebs in the arena slow you down, so the easiest way to avoid those and tire him out is to run in circles, which is disorienting to say the least. Beat him up and you get a little cutscene of Nightcap being a bad boss to Threadbare. You're booted out to your bedroom, and we head down the turlet to the underwater dream world. So, surprisingly, there's a lot of swimming in these levels, and I also noticed the dive function is more of a sink function. Look at him go. Also, unsurprisingly, the swimming controls aren't that great. Turning is slow and really wide, so it takes several attempts to collect something like a cog, especially in the underwater caverns where the camera gets stuck all the time. So, off to Rusty Bucket Bay, mean crusty rusty wreck. And oh sweet Jesus, this level is so annoying. It's got a great ghost ship look and feel, helped by that awesome TikTok Manor music again, but the corridors are windy, there's loads of backtracking, a lot of similar areas, and these really annoying ranged diver enemies who just won't let me get onto this ledge. He's been camping me for like 10 minutes. I did get lost in another level in this dream world, which was Splish Splash City, but it doesn't involve as much swimming or ridiculous enemy placement as the ghost ship, so it's not as infuriating. The boss of this world is Threadbare in a robotic missile-shooting crab. He's got more hit points than last time, which is a pretty simple kind of progression, but it counts, I guess. Once again, you have to wait out his pinchies and lil crubs until you can shoot him, except this time you have to run in circles around him because he loses control of the crab. At this point, you have to slide into his body to damage him, but don't hit the claws because apparently those are immune to your foot smacking into them and then you've wasted your chance. And now we go to space, which is home to the other worst level in the game, Cosmic Cheese Caves. Great name for sure, but you get really thin ledges over these bottomless pits and you just end up spiralling into oblivion every time you try and cross them. Continue points are scattered all over the levels, but lives are pretty hard to come by unless you want to race Nightcap's minions in each dream world. I did not want to do that, because the races are long, kinda difficult to win, and you only get like 4 rough and tumble coins per race, which just isn't worth it. Unlike games like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro, when you die, you don't get given a life cushion and sent on your merry way. You have to restart from your last save point, which can mean you get stuck in an endless loop of only having 1 life to complete a hard level and just throwing endless attempts and small children into the pit until you manage to get through and continue the game. The rest of this world is nice enough, good aesthetic, but I've been standing at this door for a while and nothing's happened. There aren't any enemies around and I can't see a switch, so I'm just stuck here. Wait, what's there? Oh god, no, help! This boss is probably the easiest. You transform into the robot and have to fire missiles at Threadbare's UFO, but you can't camp on the mountain like I originally thought, so you do have to uselessly hammer the square button in the swarms of aliens before you can shoot, but it's still pretty quick and easy. Now we go back in time to the prehistoric age. These levels are probably the most forgettable. They're all various shades of brown with a little green thrown in, and there's nothing too interesting to me. Apart from these stupid rolling rock sections where you have to hide to the side of the caverns to avoid boulders, but sometimes it doesn't work and you get smacked anyway. Not to mention there's usually a dream key hidden down a pit you have to blindly jump into. Oh god, these bosses are starting to make me dizzy. Run around the dinosaur until it charges at you, then you can smack it. But be ready to run through endless loops of its spawning baby dinos, and not actually charging, so you go 5 minutes between hits. And don't worry, the world will probably stop spinning eventually. Now we're going to head into this enormous furnace we apparently have in the basement, and off to the medieval area. You use the jester costume more here than anywhere else, which I think is a great touch since it fits the theme. Some of the enemies here have learned how to block, which would be fine if the combat worked. There's almost nothing you can do to hurt them except stand there and scream until they die. There is another section with really thin platforms in nighttime towers, but there aren't any bottomless pits this time, so if you fall off, you just have to backtrack to the beginning of the room, which is a much nicer punishment. I think this is because of the guillotine they have here. You can switch it off, but it doesn't stay that way for long, so you can be crossing the bridge and it smacks you off. It would be kind of unfair if you lost a life from that. It's an appreciated change. It's a lot less frustrating than the Cosmic Cheese Caves. And now, the castle boss. This is without doubt the worst boss in the entire game. You have to transform into a jester to smack Threadbare while he rides around on a mechanical horse. Pretty standard, and it would be easy, but for some reason you only transform for 30 seconds when usually it's 100. The boxes are also blocked by these stupid guillotines, which is surprisingly hard to time a cartwheel past. The horse is unpredictable, so you get hit no matter where you try and approach it, and you can only damage him with the third hit of your combo, which takes ages to start up. That leaves you open to getting poked to death. The only thing you can hope for is Threadbare's AI to get stuck on these little ramps, so you can land like 4 combos on him before it's time to run away and get your power up back. No joke, this took me like half an hour to do, and I hated every minute of it. I thought there were only 5 worlds, but it looks like I'm still missing 7 winks, so let's jump in the bathtub and see what awaits us there. Ooh, pirates! This could be fun. The 3 levels here are pretty decent, although there are a lot of pools of water which can get super annoying because, hey, guess what? There was a single cog in that puddle at the beginning of the level and I've been running around for 10 minutes trying to find it. Help me! Well, the end of Treasure Trove Cove. Wait a minute. There's also a lighthouse section which involves descending as a ninja, smacking a button, going back up, doing some finicky platforming to become a caveman, going into the lighthouse again to smack another button, then backtracking through a massive underwater area because that entire part was just off to the side of the main level path and I don't understand this level design. Also, this texture glitched out on this plank and I don't really have anything to say about it, it just made me laugh because look at it wiggle. At least the pirate boss isn't infuriating. It takes a little while because there's no real pattern to how Threadbare moves between the cannons, so you can't always tell which one to shoot to hit him. But really, it's nowhere near as bad as the castle boss. Oh boy, we're at the final boss! We can finally leave the house, only to find out we live at the edge of the void. Maybe this is why we're so good at screaming. We enter the teleporter, and once again, Nightcap truly represents all insomniacs with his deranged hatred of people who can sleep. Final boss is this mechanised teddy bear who either throws spiked balls at you or does a DK windmill punch to take off a lot of your health. There really aren't many clues on how to beat him. Wakey says the bigger they are, the harder they fall, but I only discovered the method by messing around while he smacked me repeatedly. You have to slide into him until he falls over and then you can hit him, but it takes 3 slide hits to make him fall over and the level takes place on one big hill so it doesn't always connect. Plus, you may have noticed how each boss's health keeps going up, and what was a simple way of upping the ante in earlier levels has gotten absolutely ridiculous. He has 15 health points now, which means you have to slide into him 45 times. The only thing that stopped me hating this boss more than the castle one is that I beat it on my second try. Then we have a cutscene of Nightcap finally getting tired of Threadbare's failure and kicking him out. As he sadly leaves the mansion, we see, oh wow, Rough and Tumble are back, and they do things. Oh, this would have been nice throughout some of the other cutscenes. Our main characters having an agency on the plot. Anyway, they smash the clock that keeps Nightcap awake, and he turns all happy after just a good night's sleep, which I can sympathise with. I too get cranky when I can just lie down and go nap. And with that, the game's completed. Seriously, there's no extra collectibles, the collectathon aspect actually completes itself as you go, but the entire game is only between 6 and 7 hours, which is pretty short and I'd say it's a semi-sweet experience. The best part of this game is definitely the dream aesthetic. The dream worlds, yes, they're pretty standard themes, but it's an excuse for us to have all these different stock themes without it being too disjointed because they're all different, dream types. And the transformation aspect is a fun way to get different superpowers and some nice little changes. The thing I actually enjoy about the dream aesthetic the most is that there isn't a real distinction between good and bad dreams. Sure, there are creatures that make dreams that are good and different creatures that make dreams that are bad, but the first level has a horror aesthetic and it's not a nightmare world, it's just, it's kind of spooky, and I just really appreciate that. The models are simple, which is expected from this kind of game and the PSX in general, I suppose, but the textures are decent enough, apart from the glitching texture of that plank. Although at one point my game did glitch the heck out and this nightmare happened and Tumble didn't have a face. There were only a couple things that started to annoy me enough to criticise the game. The really slow and clunky combat caused me the most grief. I'm not 100% sure how to actually fix that because I'm not a game developer, but I would suggest maybe making the standard 1-2-3 combo faster and giving enemies less health in general because some of them take way too many hits to beat even when you're powered up. Also, maybe giving you invincibility when you're transforming back from the costumes because you're stuck in this swirling mess and enemies can still hit you when you literally can't do anything. The other major issue is the camera. It's not bad or jumpy and you control it with the shoulder buttons as standard, but the levels do all involve a lot of corridors and other tight spaces, so it gets stuck on walls and then it freaks out and it's just I can't see anything. In some of the open areas, like the moat and nighttime towers, the larger areas in Creepy Crawly Cemetery, and the outside in the dinosaur levels, the camera moves like normal and is good. I mean, it's nothing special, but it works at least. I still enjoy this game. There's for sure a little of nostalgia goggles going on, but it's a solid idea with a decent enough execution. It's a fun platformer to spend a couple evenings with, like I did. I'd really recommend checking this game out if you like simple collectathons with cool aesthetics. But that's all I have to say for now, and all this dream hopping has made me kinda sleepy, so I guess that means—
Time for Betty Pies!
don't want to sleep. So their mum tells them about the winks. Magical little cat. My cat is walking all over my keyboard. Lucifer, please stop!